Hello and welcome back to Umineko.
Welcome.
Let's just jump right into it. There's not really much to say.
Yeah.
Load. Alright. When they started hearing Battler's snores, the relatives went their separate ways, leaving the parlor and letting Battler sleep in silence. Even though it had been so lively in the parlor with so many people gathered there, when all of them scattered at once and were swallowed up by the vast mansion and created an eerie silence with no sound except that of the rain, it just goes back to Beatrice and Battler, and Beatrice is just like, "Really? That's your first move? Taking a nap?" Nope. I haven't
It's a
met a.
pretty great move, honestly.
Yeah, it's a good move. It's a good opener.
That's the move you would take.
Yeah. I'm gonna be up all night trying to solve a case. Might as well take a nap now. Nope.
Yeah, see, I was right.
I haven't met a person like that even once. Aniki.
I haven't met them. Kirie-san, is that true? Even I only greeted her briefly when she came into the entrance hall. She looked like she was a bit over 20. I told her my name, but she didn't tell me hers. She was being guided by Genji-san, and I saw her go up to the second floor.
So it'd probably be faster to find Genji-san and ask him directly. Still, what a strange turn. The mystery woman had spoken to Kirie. Without naming herself, she sneered that Kirie should have had a vague idea as to her identity. That brought someone to mind. And then there was her look-alike, the witch in the portrait.
No damn for us this time.
Sorry. Was this person trying to say she was the witch of the portrait herself?
I realized she was probably laughing at me for that reason. Even though it was our first meeting, she spoke as though she knew I'm your second wife.
Aniki, you really don't know anyone like that.
You talk too much. I've never seen a blonde woman like that go in or out of this mansion.
That kind of thing doesn't matter. The problem's what happens if that woman starts calling herself Beatrice. Starts calling her the if she starts calling herself the manager of father's assets.
Or maybe she plans to call herself his mistress's daughter and demand that she get a share of the inheritance. Either way, we've had one heck of a joker slipped into the deck. Did Nissan bring her here? Or did father?
This is bad. We thought we could manage something if we could corner Aniki in our talks. But this takes us back to square one.
I don't know what kind of schemes you've been making when I'm not around, dear, but it looks like we've been given a little time to form a counter strategy.
Yeah, better to have some time to prepare than to have that blonde-haired Nachan suddenly appear at the dinner table and scare the shit out of us. Until we know why she's appeared, there's a limit to the kinds of counters we can make. What could she be after?
Isn't it obvious? She's going to claim that she's the rightful heir to father's inheritance. Father is still captivated by Beatrice. If he had a daughter with her, I bet that he'd want to leave all his fortune to her. She might even thrust some strange will in front of us. If we take it to court, we could probably claim a quarter of a half of it. But it'll probably be impossible to divvy out the inheritance until that's settled. We can't have that. I can't, and neither can you, Rudolph. And the same goes for Rosa, right?
Each one of us needs to gather money quickly for our own reasons. It's our biggest weak point. So, what are they after? Today, can you guess?
This is all news to me, but it sounds like we're starting from the premise that we've got an urgent need to collect money, right?
Hey, son. In a man's business, you sometimes need funding when you're on the offensive. Please understand that.
What's this, Rudolph? You didn't tell Kirie-san about it?
Sorry, I wasn't really hiding it. Actually, it was kinda...
It's alright. If you decided this wasn't something you needed to tell me about, I won't press you about it right here. What's more important is finding out what this Golden Witch is after, right?
Yeah. Now that you know what we know, can you see how the enemy might come after us, or come at us? Rudolph had a certain measure of trust in Kirie's unique thinking technique, chessboard thinking. Of course, it didn't give him any more peace of mind than fortune telling. But every time Rudolph was polishing up some important strategy, he'd give a great deal of thought to Kirie's advice. For a while, Kirie pressed her finger against her forehead, considering.
Judging by the fact that her arrival was kept hidden until today, she must be planning to catch us by surprise in some way. We can't tell for sure whether she's after assets or being recognized as a relative. However, her coming was kept secret until today, which probably means she didn't want us to take any measures against her, something we might have done if we'd known beforehand. So her goal is probably something that could be hindered if we were to take measures against her. Understand?
I get it. So if she had a will that Father had already written, or something that could prove that she's a blood relative. If she had some unshakable, rock-solid proof like that, you'd think she'd announce it beforehand.
That's right. On the contrary, since we're in a position to doubt her, she should have brought a lawyer or an expert and thrust some completely undeniable proof before us. If she could.
The mere fact that she's launching a surprise attack shows that our foe can't win with a frontal assault. Makes sense? If a trump card can win no matter what, it's best to play it out in the open. If you play it in a roundabout way, it may end up weakening its impact.
Skipping to the conclusion, we can probably expect to be faced with some huge surprise. Something related either directly or indirectly to the inheritance problem that's on everyone's minds. Our opponent probably plans to overawe us simply by the impact of this shock. However, no matter how great the impact might be, it cannot be absolute. In other words, we have enough leeway to take advantage of this.
You've really got brains. Even understanding this much is really reassuring. In other words, you're telling us not to get sucked into our opponent's space.
In the end, it's an extremely simple conclusion. No matter what our opponent brings up, we should deal with it calmly, without rushing things. This is just the very first step in the art of negotiation. You really can't say you've predicted your opponent's thoughts with just this.
Come on. Just like usual, that was pretty good. Now that we know we've got a little leeway to attack, it helps us relax a bit.
What we don't know is how she's connected to Kraus-Nissan. Will it be a surprise for Kraus-Nissan too? Or was he actually the one who called her here in the first place? If it's the latter, that might make things very troublesome. That's right. Secretly calling a mystery woman on the day of the family conference. It would be in terrible taste, but it does feel like something Nissan would do.
Aniki, let's do this. As long as she can't clearly prove her identity, we won't accept her position in any way.
Would be for the best. Already, she's refused to introduce herself to Kirie-san. We can't let our conference be disturbed by the statements of some unknown woman.
She might even show us proof that she's a blood relative. If she can prove Father's blood runs through her veins, like with a maternity record document, there's nothing we can do. It's always possible to expect that physical evidence isn't faked, and even even if it's real, in order to prove that the person in the documents is the person we see, we'd need to check their condition at a hospital. At the very least, it would be impossible to prove that now on Rokkenjima.
You're right. So in other words, it's something like this. No matter what's shown to us now on Rokkenjima, it can't be accepted as truth. We can't believe anything until the typhoon passes and they prove it to us at the proper place.
Man, I wonder if that line has a double meaning.
What does?
The line of nothing on Rokkenjima can be proven and can be trusted at first glance. I wonder if that is a secret double meaning. Spotting all kinds of holes and stuff like this is Aniki's specialty. We'll be counting on you.
Are you joking? You'll be helping too. We need the money. We need it quickly and a large sum. Our fates are all tied together in this. As if we'd just stand by and let some suddenly appearing mystery woman destroy the inheritance we're after.
Rudolph and Ava always formed a united front as siblings at times like this. Sickened by the idea that their own inheritance might be snatched away by an outsider, Kirie noticed how indomitable they looked, shook her head slightly, and gave a small sigh as she gazed out the window. Outside, it was still raining heavily, and everything was gray, having lost all vibrance. The lush garden that the sun had shone on earlier felt like a lie. For some reason, the words Ava said a second ago kept repeating in Kirie's head. So in other words, it's something like this. No matter what's shown to us now on Rokkenjima, it can't be accepted as truth. There was an odd nuance to those words. At that moment, the island was closed off by the typhoon and isolated. They had access to no public institutions and no hospital. So on this island, no matter what manner of proof related to the outside world was shown, it would always be possible to call it a lie. It would be impossible to prove that something was the truth. Now that they were isolated from the outside, all truths whose proof lay in the outside world would be called lies. So does that mean that right now, on this Rokkenjima, no truth exists at all? Does it mean that everything will now be ruled by lies alone? It almost gives the illusion that we've left the human world of truth and have been shut away inside another world, one of lies. Today, remembered that woman's appearance one more time. She remembered both what she looked like and the witch of the portrait. On this island, which has been cut off from the world of humans and shut away in the world of non-humans, a non-human being has come to visit. Today, I couldn't think of the smile that appeared on that woman's face as anything other than a portent of misfortune. I get the feeling my chessboard thinkings missed a vital premise. One that'll be necessary to understand that misfortune-bearing smile. Yes. That smile made me feel as though someone human was mocking me. I based my reasoning on the assumption that our opponent is a human like us. However, just like this island is now, she may be a being that isn't human, and human values may not matter to her. If that's true, all of our reasoning is useless. For what reason has the witch been invited here today? Only one thing is certain. Now, in this instant, she's staying somewhere in this vast mansion. Maria? Around lunchtime today, we met her outside, right? A woman. Who was she?
I said it over and over. Beatrice.
Maria? Did you ever meet Beatrice before that?
I met her every year.
Every year? In this mansion on Rokkenjima?
Ugh,
I don't know what "fu" means. Is that true?
yes.
How long have you been meeting her? How many years ago did it start?
Ugh, I don't know.
You don't know? What do you mean? Was it last year? 2 years ago?
Longer than that. Ugh.
Rosa was astonished. Only the Uchinomiya family mansion existed on this island, so there couldn't have been any humans other than themselves here. They've admitted themselves that there's a large unexplored forest on this island. Someone could just be living in that forest. And yet, Maria said she'd been meeting with this suspicious woman every year during the family conference. If what Maria said was the truth, then that strange woman called Beatrice had been at the family conference every year. That's insane. Is Maria saying that eerie woman was at the family conference every year and none of us ever noticed it? Even though Rosa had just met the woman herself a couple hours ago in the rose garden, she was overcome with a strange emotion that told her not to accept that existence. What in the world did I meet with earlier today in the rose garden as the typhoon grew near and the winds roared? Maria, you said you've met with her every year. What do you two do when you meet?
Ugh. I sing songs and learn magic. And I learn how to draw magic circles.
Really? That's incredible. Maria, you often draw scribbles. I mean, magic circles in your notebook, right? She teach you that too?
Mm. You know what? Beatrice drew examples to teach me. Come on, come on. Look.
Maria joyfully fished around in her handbag. Then she drew out a single notebook and began opening to that page. Most of the pages were covered with drawings that were literally scribbles. All of them were cult-like things. And, while it might sound rude to Maria, who was joyfully flipping through the pages, they were all creepy.
Look, here. Beatrice drew it. Ugh.
Each Why would she draw the one that, like, repels her?
I don't know, maybe Maria drew that one.
Each one of the pages in the group Maria opened to had an eerie magic circle. Furthermore, at a glance, Rosa could see that Maria hadn't drawn them. Hmm, how about that shit? The strength of the strokes, the thickness of the lines, how clean the shape was. By itself, it wasn't enough to guess the background of the person who had written it, but it was enough for Rosa to be sure that it was someone older than Maria. Rosa had to accept it now. There really was a person on this Rokkenjima that she herself hadn't known existed until now. And this person had come to the family conference every year to play with Maria. Maria? Does the witch Beatrice live here? Or does she live outside the island like us?
Mm. Beatrice is the witch of Rokkenjima, so she lives on this island.
So you're saying she's on this island even on days when it isn't the family conference, right?
Mm.
I don't know what "boo" means. Yes or no?
Yes. Mm.
What in the? What in the? I can't believe it. I can't believe it. How long had this unknown witch been living on this island? I used to live on this island. I lived on this island, passing the time in the mansion in the rose garden. And even so, I never encountered a witch like that. Right?
Mama? Mama? What's wrong? Mama?
My head hurts. I was probably getting a little mixed up with my memories from when I was a young girl. When I was young, I was terrified of the witch, unlike Maria. So for me, the name Beatrice was a synonym for terror. Surely my fear from those days had been revived by the appearance of a woman going by that name. She can't be a witch. She's obviously a human calling herself Beatrice, right? That's right. That witch entrusted me with an envelope. What in the world could that be? Rosa pulled that Western envelope out of her pocket. It was one of the envelopes that bore the Ushiromiya family crest, which Kinzo used for his personal letters. And its red sealing wax had even been sealed by the Hez ring which Kinzo held, which meant this envelope belonged to the Ushiromiya family head. In other words, it was from father. Why was a woman calling herself Beatrice holding it, and why did she give it to me? That's right. I'm sure she said to read this aloud at dinner. What in the world could be written inside? A sense of uncertainty gripped Rosa, as if opening this envelope might let loose incredible misfortune. However, at the same time, a little curiosity sprouted up too, urging her to find out what was written inside before the other siblings could. Using common sense, one might guess that it contained a huge decision somehow related to father's inheritance. Actually, since she'd received it from a woman who called herself Beatrice, there simply had to be some connection. Doesn't mean this person wants not just the four, but a total of 5 people to be included in the inheritance. I need a large sum of money, and I can't wait long. I feel like such a sinful daughter for discussing father's inheritance while he's still alive. But this is no time to spout off cheap ideals. And I've even colluded with Rudolf Nissan and Eva Nissan in order to get some money out of Kraus Nissan. Coming from that position, I can't help but see the appearance of the witch as a sign of the approaching misfortune. What could be written in here? I'm sure it's something frightening. Shall I read it secretly myself first? The witch requested that it be read at the dinner table with everyone gathered. But if that's what she wanted, why couldn't she just read it aloud herself at dinner? Why did she go to all the trouble of entrusting it to me? Simply put, is it because she doesn't mind if I read it secretly beforehand? It'd be better to secretly read the contents first. I understand that means breaking my promise. But this is no longer the time for cheap ideals. Depending on the contents, I should probably discuss it with Ava Nason and Rudolph Nissan too. They're always really good thinkers when it comes to this kind of thing. When I gulped and put my hand to the red sealing wax, something suddenly pulled on my sleeve and I let out a small scream. What? Maria? Don't scare me like that. What is it?
You mustn't.
Huh? And Maria's expression was the same portent of misfortune that she'd felt from that witch, and it sent a tingle up her spine.
Beatrice told Mama to read that letter during dinner. You mustn't break your promise with the witch.
It's not it. I just wanted to look at an envelope for a second. Keep my promise. After all, I always tell you to keep your promises. Of course I keep my promises.
Yeah, Mama's a good girl.
That laugh. It isn't cute, so stop it.
Mm,
Come to think of it, you received a letter too, Maria. What was written inside?
I haven't opened it. Beatrice said I mustn't open it until the time to open it comes. So I'm taking good care of it. Ooh.
I see. You listen well to what Beatrice says, don't you, Maria?
I'm Beatrice's disciple, so I listen well to what my teacher says.
You should also listen to what your fucking mother says, goddamn. I see. Rosa realized something. Mixed in with Maria's gaze was the glint of someone that wasn't her. If Rosa broke the rules and opened the envelope here, Beatrice would definitely learn of it. Because Maria was the witch's disciple. Maria was in contact with that witch. I'll keep my promise. Tell Beatrice not to worry, okay?
I'll tell her.
Hey, Maria? If I wanted to speak to Beatrice, how could I meet her?
I don't know. She is very fickle. She sometimes appears suddenly. I don't know a way to get her to meet me. But you know, she's always watching me. So if I get in trouble, she'll definitely come and save me afterwards. She's definitely erased her form and is hiding close to me.
I always tell you to stop laughing like that. Rosa reflectively hit Maria on the head. That would have stopped Maria's laughing, but it wasn't able to erase the color that had risen to those eyes. A color that seemed to bear a portent of misfortune. It was beige. Rosa swore. It's a color that portended misfortune. It was beige. Rosa swore. Fuck! She swore that at least until they left this island, she would not leave Maria alone. She couldn't allow an unknown being to make direct contact with her daughter any longer.
Love this song, by the way.
Oh, it's a good song.
$6 o'clock.
Pog. Maria still hasn't come back. I wonder if she's getting scolded by Aunt Rosa again. Ever since they met Maria at the airport, she'd been romping around, chatting about Halloween the whole time. But maybe she'd cut loose a little too much. Acting a little too boisterous on the plane, on the boat, and during lunch. Because Rosa had cautioned her several times. At times like that, Aunt Rosa tended not to scold her much in front of people. More often, she would take Maria aside and scold her alone. So since Maria had been called off somewhere, they figured she must be getting scolded. When they looked at the clock, they realized it was almost 6. Of course, they couldn't imagine she'd be getting scolded all this time. Maybe it was time for some anime she watched every week to start. She probably hadn't left the mansion's parlor.
Maybe Battler-sama woke up and they've been playing together.
It pans, like, it fades to black and fades back to show them, like, playing Call of Duty.
I would love that.
Just, oh!
They should make an Umineko anime, but add in all the little gags.
all our little gags.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Make
Battler,
an
enemy!
Umineko anime based on our playthrough.
Ooh, Battler, enemy on the right! I got them, Maria! Cover me!
They should play Five Nights at Freddy's together. I don't know if there's a multiplayer.
There's not.
That's so sad. They should play Five Nights at Freddy's multiplayer together.
Maria's teaching Battler how to play, and Battler's like, he's solving the entire lore just on the spot. he's never even seen Freddy Fazbear before, but he's like, okay, so this is what happened. He summoned a whiteboard out of nowhere. All right, so the bite of 87. All right.
Oh, this takes place 1 year before that. That's so funny.
Oh my god, it does.
Not exactly.
Almost a
it
year.
does take place. Yeah.
After
That's pretty funny. Imagine if the events of Umineko indirectly caused the bite of 87.
Dude, one of the games Beatrice won, she moved on it to help William Afton become the man behind the slaughter.
She gifted him the Springtrap suit.
The gold, also known as the Golden Bonnie suit?
Hey yo.
Oh shit, it's all coming together.
Oh shit.
Oh fuck. It's all coming together, gang.
Matt, we should sell this to Matt Pat.
Just like call up Matt. Hey, Matthew Patrick. I need you to play Umineko. I think it has
Matthew
something
Patthew.
to Matthew. I think Matthew Patrick. You need to play Umineko. I think there's something there. I think it might be connected to the FNAF lore.
Oh, there's so much in store for him in the Umineko fandom. Are you kidding me?
Oh my god.
He could make so much money he could have made so much money off of Umineko. I don't know if he
Absolute.
was active when it was first coming out,
Oh
but
my god. If it did like an episodic release sort of thing, like Life is Strange. Holy shit.
mm,
Like.
I'm pretty sure it did have some kind of no. I'm pretty sure the question arcs were all released together, and then the answer arcs were all released together.
Yeah, like, oh my god. God. Matthew could be making fucking bank on Umineko.
Oh yeah.
After Maria-chan thinks of Battler-kun as a new friend. She must have had a lot of fun when she played Halloween with Battler-kun at the airport. Battler looked like he was having a lot of fun himself. Maybe he's gotten big, but he has changed a bit.
That's true. I get the feeling Battler-sama was gracious enough to remain as he was 6 years ago.
Shannon, do you remember what he was like then?
Yes, because he was, well, very energetic.
I also remember the four of us playing together 6 years ago. Shannon acted a lot like a big sister back then. That's right. I get the feeling she was even more dependable than she is now.
Back then, I didn't really understand my place. So, I did quite a few rude things.
Don't worry about understanding your place in that sense. When you're on the job is one thing, but when you're taking your break and with us like now, I'd rather you stay and be friendly just like the old days. That's right. There's nothing wrong with acting differently depending on whether you're the servant Shannon or off-duty Sayo. You aren't a slave, so you're just working as a servant, right? I think of you as Shannon, no, Sayo, as my oldest friend.
It's really, wow, I didn't realize that Shannon told Jessica her real name too.
Me too. I was like, when the fuck did she learn that?
Yeah. I don't know when, yeah. I don't know when she would have said that.
Do you think George
Thank
just
you.
told her because he just doesn't know how to keep his mouth shut?
That would be pretty funny. But no, I don't think so. Thank you very much, my lady.
It seemed that Shannon understood the hidden meaning behind Jessica's words. After all, she'd heard a bit about Jessica and Cannon's history from both of them. Apparently, George had heard something of that history too. He walked towards the window and looked up at the darkening, rainy sky.
Kanan may still be childish in some ways, but I think he's starting to grow a bit in his way of thinking.
Well, come on, quit it already. Well, I guess I let myself get swept away by the mood once or twice. You know, after watching you two, I might have gotten a bit jealous, feeling like I was getting left behind. But forget about me. More importantly, how's it going between you two? Looks like it's going pretty good, huh?
Uh, I wonder.
Yes! It's going very well. Shannon's like over there, like, oh, is it going well, or is this just, or do I just not have any like other relationship experience to compare it to? Am I really happy in this relationship? And George's over here, like, fuck yeah, it's going well. We're having a great time. Shannon was lost for words, her face red, while George answered brightly and immediately. That carefree attitude made it easy to see that their relationship was proceeding so perfectly, it'd make anyone envious. Dang, I'm jealous. So does that mean Shannon's gonna resign and have a party soon?
I wonder. Um. Uh.
Oh, there's a good question. I wonder what she'll say. George laughed teasingly, as though pressing Shannon for an answer. It was probably the way they usually flirted when they were alone. Jessica can only smile bitterly and say, yes, yes, thank you, that's enough. I have a dream. He just starts fully doing the Martin Luther King Jr. speech. Just, oh, okay. Weird time to do this, George.
Like he's just memorized it completely, and everybody acts normal about it.
They're just like, okay, George.
No,
Anyway.
they clap and they just like pretend like this is.
He just routinely repeats the famous "I have a dream" speech.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great. I don't just mean some ambition to become the leader of my own domain and business. I also dream of building a happy family together with a partner I can spend my life with. I want 2 kids at the very least. It'd be nice to do some sports as a whole family. What if Shannon was just like, I'm infertile? Just fully.
In front of both of them.
In front of both of them, was just like, I actually can't have kids.
Wow.
And many more things besides that. I often talk with Shannon about that kind of thing. So every time I do, she always laughs and says I'm getting ahead of myself. Almost like she's 16 or something.
And it would be especially funny if she said that, like, right now of all times.
Yeah, after George admitted that they talk about it constantly. I've been waiting for the right time to tell you. For some reason, even at the age I am now, I find myself thinking about what it'd be like to live peacefully in my old age. With healthy grown-up kids and grandchildren running all over the place. If only I could spend the rest of my life at a slow pace surrounded by that, together with Shannon forever. Yeah, you're definitely getting ahead of yourself. But how should I say it? It sounds like you, George Nissan.
Being surrounded by a family like that would probably be so wonderful.
Probably.
The idea of family I've painted in my mind is something like that.
Shannon, who'd been raised in an orphanage, that harmonious image of a family was probably something to be yearned for. And George, who had made an absolute promise to grant that wish for her, may truly have been a fitting person for her to spend her life with. Jessica, Shannon was a precious friend. George was surely the one most fit to entrust that friend's future to. Well, I don't want to throw cold water on you guys, but Uncle Hideyoshi aside, what are you gonna do about Aunt Ava? Wouldn't it be pretty tough to win her over? There's no reason for anyone to worry about something like that. No one but me gets any say in who I choose to be my partner. I will bring Shannon happiness. Whose permission do I need for that? Wow! George Jason, that was cool. Can't believe you can say stuff that embarrassing out loud. I don't remember you ever being that kind of character in the past. As they say, if you don't see a boy for 3 days, you should watch him closely. I grow as much as anyone. I intend to study more and more and grow to be the man Shannon deserves. The one who can bring her happiness. Maybe even George realized how embarrassing the words coming out of his mouth were. His face turned very slightly red, and he scratched his head.
George-san?
It's okay. I'm sure Mother will be difficult, but you can leave that to me. You'll see, I'll make all the relatives accept you as my partner. Awesome. I'm jealous of you, Shannon. Seriously.
Uh, um, I'm very grateful that you're willing to go so far.
Come to think of it, I'm starting to feel like a third wheel here. Maybe I'd better leave, huh? As Jessica rose with a forced smile from the bed she's been sitting on, the phone rang. Before Jessica picked up the receiver, wondering what this could be about, Shannon looked at the clock and jumped. Apparently, she spent too much time on her break.
I'm sorry. I forgot it was time for work. Then, if you'll excuse me.
At the same time Jessica picked up the phone, Shannon began dashing out of the room. Shannon! Again, the usual time at the usual place.
Yes. Excuse me.
Hello, it's Jessica. Ah, Genji-san. Yeah, Shannon's going back to you guys now. We held her up, so please don't scold her. Yeah, yes. I see. It's almost time for them to get ready for dinner. Many plates were lined up on the counter in the kitchen. Preparations for dinner were proceeding steadily. The number of plates lined up there was 19. That was one more than should have been set up for the annual family conference.
I can't accept it. Why can't I deliver it directly?
Goto-san flared up at Genji, paying no heed to the pot that was spitting steam. The master enjoyed eating alone in his study, so his food needed to be served in that room. However, that was something that always happened. Of course, Goto-san would want to set the table for the master with his own hands, to put his heart and soul into his cooking. But the master had imposed a strict rule that none but the servants bearing the Golden Eagle crest enter his study. So while Goto-san would be able to greet the master from outside the study, not once had he been granted the honor of carrying his cooking inside. Goto-san was always irritated by this. Of course, he was a newcomer in terms of years of service. However, he had piled up plenty of experience from his previous jobs, and he was quite confident that he'd be able to perform in front of Kinzo in a manner that would do him no disservice. And yet, simply because he was not permitted to wear the Golden Eagle, he still hadn't been blessed with this honor.
He's not a good enough cook.
Can you imagine what damage that would do to his pride? You might think tonight was a repeat of that, but it wasn't. Because tonight, there was a person other than the master who wanted their food carried to their room. Apparently, this person an extremely rare and honored guest, and we've been given strict orders to treat them in the same manner as the master, the family head. Goto-san must have wanted to earn some points by serving this honored guest with his own hands. After all, he was an extremely vain person. If he wasn't qualified to serve the master, then at least a guest of the same rank. He simply couldn't find time during lunch, so Kanon-san had gone in his place. So he truly desired to personally serve this person tonight's meal, the best dinner of the year. But Genji-san had put a stop to that. Something about how Goto-san didn't wear the Golden Eagle. After being told once more that he wasn't qualified, Goto-san lost his patience. So heartrending, Goto-san. I cannot do anything more than watch like this from the shadows.
Kumasawa-san? If you have enough free time to dawdle around, please get the dining hall ready. Is the tablecloth set?
Oh, you're a dick.
My apologies.
When it became her turn to bear his wrath, Kumasawa slid out into the hall. Beatrice-sama is of exactly the same rank as the Master. All rules regarding her are to be respected just as much as those involving the Master. Goto-san, please devote your attention entirely towards your own task and serve all the relatives.
I wouldn't mind if it was you, Genji-san, but is it really okay to let a child like this serve such a guest? If she made some blunder, it would be quite embarrassing. I know they've served here a long time, but that doesn't mean they've been trained in the proper areas. If you'll allow me to speak freely, they are completely lacking in the fundamentals that might qualify them to interact with such a guest.
Shut up, you dick! Goto spoke bluntly, even though Shannon was standing right there in the kitchen. Shannon was the one whom Genji had ordered to carry dinner to Beatrice's room. The ranking system among the servants permitted to wear the golden eagle. Shannon certainly was the second highest in rank. If the highest ranked Genji went to set the table in Ginzo's room, then it fell to Shannon to set the table in Beatrice's room. Goto's pride was always horribly injured by this ranking system. At times like this, he'd speak out bluntly and rudely against Shannon and Cannon. Goto kept raising examples of each of Shannon's failures until now, making a ruckus about how she couldn't do this or was terrible at that.
Dude!
Yeah, he's a fucking dick. Shannon, who listened to this with her head hung in shame, heard Cannon's voice from behind her. Shannon had been leaning against the wall in the hallway near the kitchen entrance, a blind spot from the inside, and had been listening to all of this. He probably knew that if he entered the kitchen, sparks would start to fly his way.
Got to say it. The man's scum. But we could learn a lot about the fundamentals of entertaining guests from him. Gota's learned so much, so he'd be a great reference. Hey, son. You sure are nice. More importantly, is the guest in the VIP room really Beatrice-sama, as they say? Yes, I met her when I was sent to serve her lunch. There can be no doubt it's her. Really? Was she doing well?
Cannon remembered that he and Shannon had different impressions of Beatrice. To Shannon, Beatrice was a cupid of love, who had granted her magic to establish her relationship with George. Judging by the expression that rose to her face, it looked like she couldn't wait to inform Beatrice of how her relationship with George had progressed. However, Cannon already knew. That witch came here with a terrifying goal in mind. The nebulous witch that only they'd been able to see in the past had now revived so fully that she could walk in openly through the front door, and even have dinner carried to her. Once, when she'd vanished from in front of Cannon, the witch said something about how her own power was still weak. So if that witch was now appearing so openly, did it mean she'd finally regained her former power? And she said something else too. She definitely said that she'd sown the seeds of love, while fully aware that they would fail. And she said even more. She's definitely said that the day had finally come, upon which the door to the Golden Land would be opened.
Shannon. She's planning to hold some bizarre ceremony with the Master, and you can bet it'll be something too horrible to imagine. And no one will be able to resist. What are you talking about?
The shit that you've been told the entire time you've been a servant?
Yeah. She came here. She came here as the Master requested, so that the door to the Golden Land would open, and so that everything would be returned to the Golden Land. Definitely said that to me.
In the past, the two of them had furniture working for Kinso, had been told what opening of the door to the Golden Land meant. So Shannon understood everything without having to ask a single question. And because of that, she felt a deep despair. Something tore at Cannon's heart as he looked at that expression twisted with grief.
How could... Why... Why now? Didn't I tell you? We are furniture. Because you acted like a human, because of love. You're incapable of obediently accepting the day our service comes to an end. Once, I wished this day would come, but it never came, year after year. I didn't know how long we'd be forced to endure suffering as furniture. So I thought the day of rest wouldn't come for all eternity. I thought the same thing, but I believed that it would definitely come someday. So I never forgot that I'm furniture. But Nason, you did forget. It's my fault, isn't it? It was I who... Yeah, it's your fault, Nason. If only you hadn't experienced love. We'd both be happy that this day has finally come. You built up too many pointless regrets.
Can you imagine just being a servant of the Ushinomiya family and there's an entire fucking cult of Beatrice?
Yeah,
Like, can you
I
imagine?
mean,
Like, imagine that you're like hearing this conversation as you're walking by and you're like, Jesus fucking Christ, does our healthcare not pay for therapy? Fuck. Umineko where everything's the same except I'm there commentating like in real time. Like, what the fuck are you guys
that would
talking
make it a
about?
lot. Somehow that would make it better.
Just constantly like, what the fuck are you guys on about?
Constantly doing like the crazy signal.
Yeah, just like looking over to like Battler. I'm looking. I look over to everyone. I'm just doing like the cuckoo. just just like, hey, why does the 19th person have to be a witch? Why couldn't it be a 19th person that isn't a witch? How else would they be able to get through locked doors? I don't know. Pick a fucking lock. How are they able to get through this door chain? I don't know. It's definitely possible though. Just I'm telling you, Beatrice would hate me because I just like they never let common sense take over. They're just constantly like, oh, must be a witch, guys. This door, which the lock can definitely be picked. It's closed and the lock is locked. It must be a witch, guys. I don't know, it could just be a guy.
Even though you knew you'd have to leave this world someday.
God, can you imagine if I was like in the debate with Beatrice and she's like, how could this have been done? I don't know, some guy. Some dude did it. It doesn't have to be a witch, it could just be some guy.
Then you have to explain that fully.
Yeah, and then I'm like, yeah, it's possible for some guy to be the murderer. It's 100% possible.
Will the ceremony begin tonight? Yes. And she said one more thing. Tonight, George Sama will probably give you an engagement ring. Nason.
That was a fact. George supposedly had an engagement ring hidden in his pocket today. And surely he would hand it over tonight.
She brought you two together, planning to use you as the sacrifices of the second twilight. Get it? She tempted you and took advantage of you. I see. I never thought of that. But she told me. She promised that if you don't accept the engagement ring tonight, you won't be chosen as a sacrifice, Nason. I think our chances of being able to go to the Golden Land together are very slim.
Why is he now believing she'll keep her word?
There will be 13 sacrifices. Only 5 will be left alive. The chances of us being part of that group are tiny. But if you just accept her offer, those chances will rise. I want to take that bet.
Jesus, Canon, never go to Vegas.
Our salvation is the Golden Land. We're gonna reach that place and gain humanity. And then I want to live life as a human, together with you, Nae-san. If we do that, we might be able to find true love. In the past, I used to dream about being able to go to the Golden Land. If we go there, any wish will be granted. We'll be saved from this pain.
If Beatrice was so powerful, then why didn't she stop 9/11?
Well, maybe it doesn't happen in this universe. We don't know.
Maybe Beatrice did stop 9/11 in this world.
Yeah.
Sorry, that just like all of a sudden hit me, and I was like, I have to say it, or else it's never gonna leave my head.
Now there's a new cat box to solve.
Umineko 2, 9/11.
Proving that Beatrice actually did it.
proving that there's no way Beatrice could actually have done 9/11.
Yeah.
But you're the one man for the job. Usiro Mia Battler. Damn it, I gave up that life years ago. Sorry.
Battler's vacations in the US.
I'm sorry, I'm so sorry.
What, for making this a possibility?
Yeah, for making a stupid joke. There's no way this is funny to the people watching this.
That's what we believed.
However, in this ceremony, only a few people would be invited to the Golden Land, chosen by fate and chance. Everyone else would lose their life as a sacrifice midway through the ceremony. However, in the past, Shannon and Cannon had thought that whether they reached the Golden Land or were sacrificed, they would still be released from their duties as furniture. That meant the ceremony would definitely bring release to furniture like them, no matter what happened.
I don't like it. Together with you, I want to make up for all the suffering we've endured. I won't become a sacrifice. Nae-san and I will remain alive. And we'll reach the Golden Land together. So I won't let you become the sacrifice of the second twilight. Please, Nae-san, don't accept that man's ring. If you don't accept it, she promised not to select you as a sacrifice. I cannot do that. Tonight's ring is very special. My heart won't let me refuse it. Nae-san, sacrifices of the ceremony are decided on the witch's whims. That witch has promised to overlook just you, Nae-san. You alone will definitely be able to go to the Golden Land. Only... What about you, Kanon-kun? The witch's game is enough for me. I'll slip through her clutches. I'm not powerless. I'll tightly grasp that faint chance. After all, our lives are transient, aren't they? In order to begin our real lives, let's drag ourselves to the Golden Land. Then we will gain humanity. And when we've done that, maybe I'll be able to experience romance just like you, Nae-san. Maybe I won't have to make someone cry just because I'm furniture. Kanon-kun, I've had enough of being furniture. I'll definitely become human. I'll escape this pain, no matter what.
I can only imagine the fucking media frenzy that would happen if media got out what fucking Kinzo was teaching these orphans.
Yeah,
Like, I can only imagine what would happen. Oh my god. There were tears in Cannon's eyes. By now, Cannon had noticed. Cannon hadn't been the only one to know and suffer from the taste of love. He had too. The tears Jessica had shown him that day, and Jessica's pitiful face as she tried to smooth things over and stay bright ever since then, had slowly wrought some kind of change on Cannon's heart without him knowing it. Shannon, I've been calling to you for some time now. Shannon jumped at the sudden sound of Genji's voice. Apparently, he had called for her repeatedly. She hurriedly answered. When she turned back, Cannon had disappeared. It seemed he didn't feel like showing his tears to anybody.
yes. I'm sorry for being careless.
I entrusted Cannon with lunch, but it should have been you, as the next in rank after me, who carried it. Beatrice-sama is the most honored guest of this house. There is no more honored guest than her. Please think of her as another master, and be polite.
Please take extra care that you make no blunders, understand? It's quite painful for me to entrust this to someone as inexperienced as yourself, but there's nothing we can do about the house's rules. Yes. Wow, this guy sucks.
Yeah.
Carry out your duties with the utmost of care.
Goda had officially agreed, but he glared at Shannon with an expression that told her he definitely wouldn't forgive any mistakes. Even Shannon felt that Goda might as well go himself if he was so desperate to go. But she considered this one of her responsibilities, as one who had been allowed to wear the Golden Eagle and had to give up. And anyway, I wanted to meet Beatrice. What will I talk about? What will I ask? I don't know. Will this be a meeting of gratitude? Or one of grief? Or else, what? I don't know. Shannon piled the witch's food onto the serving cart and left the kitchen at a slow pace. I think what would get under her skin the most is act like you've never met her before.
Yeah.
Just act like you don't even know who the fuck she is. I think that would get
You
under
have great ideas.
Yeah, I have great ideas. Put me in, coach. Like, put me in there. I'll get Beatrice out of here, no problem. I'm assuming that if she breaks her own rules, then boom, that 100% everything's done. I'm assuming that's how it works with witches. Like, they have to be bound by rules, and if they break the rules, their shit is over. So
Unless that's not the case.
It's implied to be the case, though.
Mm-hmm.
And like they're so like compared to demons that like the demon's contract is also like bound by rules that cannot be broken. So I'm telling you, you just gotta piss her off enough.
Enough for what?
It's enough for her to break her own rules.
Okay.
I think this would work. I think it would work.
Okay.
All it takes is one checkmate from me, and I'd win. You know?
Yeah. Like how you think you'd solve Umineko in the first couple of episodes.
I bet I can. I don't even need to like.
Okay, yeah.
I don't even need to solve the mystery. I can 100% outsmart Beatrice, though.
But solving the mystery is the whole thing.
Well, no, I think I can do it. I think I could annoy her thoroughly enough.
You said you could solve. You said you could solve it.
I bet I can actually. I do bet I can, but like no, I like put me in, coach. Put me in, coach. I'll wrap this up
And do it. Do it.
Yeah, I'll wrap this up. Boom. I'll give Beatrice. Won't give in to Beatrice, and even as more fantastical as it gets, I'm like, dude, I saw a guy disappear the fucking Statue of Liberty. You think this shit's gonna impress me?
You've read the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, that's all I need. All the information I need.
Yeah, then okay, go ahead. Do it.
There's a 19th person that's a 19th person that isn't a witch.
Let's see how that holds up.
I'm telling you, look, I'm going at this like I am Battler sitting in the tea room. That's how
Exactly.
that's how I'm going at it.
Exactly, you are.
So I
Yep.
need to be able to fucking discount Beatrice as much as possible. And there is a way to do that without suspecting either the servants or the family members. And there's some guy in the massive forest that people don't go into.
Yep.
It's possible. It's possible. The person knocking was Kraus.
Father, today is our annual family conference. Have the siblings gathered here just to get a glimpse of you. Be silent. I say I won't leave. You're there too, aren't you, Genji? Why haven't you had my food brought here as I ordered you to?
Kenzo screamed across the door. Genji was waiting behind Kraus. Your meal has been prepared so that it might be carried to the study. However, Kraus-sama has expressed his wish that you eat downstairs tonight.
Father, I'm not asking you to do this every day. Just for this one night, won't you gather together with your family? Who are you calling family? Since when have you considered vulture circling in wait for roadkill to be family? Would you call rotting, oozing maggots family as well? My.
Kraus shrugged at this answer, which he had half expected.
Genji, carry the meal here as you were told. Why don't you listen to what I say? Why? Genji-san. Wait. That wasn't, so that was Kinzo.
Yeah, this
I
is
read it
Kraus.
wrong. Anyways. Genji-san, I leave this in your capable hands. My voice will no longer reach that man.
Kraus gave his head a small shake, then quickly turned his back on the door to the study. He had only come calling to save face in front of his siblings, knowing full well how useless this was. After Genji watched Kraus disappear down the stairs, he called again across the door. Master, we have finished preparations for your meal to be carried here. Shall we bring some for Dr. Nanjo as well? Nanjo could be seen in the study, because Kinzo had forcibly pestered him into finishing their long-lasting chess game. They had been playing against each other since the early evening. Nanjo had announced as a doctor that Kinzo's days were numbered. We couldn't refuse if Kinzo demanded that they finish this game while he still lived. Kinzo was thinking deeply about his move, concentrating more than usual. It had been Kinzo's turn for quite some time, and Nanjo, who was tired of waiting, had randomly pulled out a book on magic that he couldn't understand and was skimming it. Kinzo-san, you won't think of a good move just by folding your arms and sitting in front of the board. Perhaps we had better take a break and refresh our minds.
Be silent. That should be enough to solidify my defense. Will the bishop and the knight be able to penetrate that opening?
Today, Kinzo was focused on maintaining a strong defense. Normally, Kinzo's motto was that offense was the best defense. However, today was completely opposite. I am also hungry. Shall we suspend the game here? Besides, I've used my head so much without a break that I'm already feeling dizzy. At this rate, I might not be able to perform at my best.
Now that won't do. In chess, both players must always make their best moves. Any other sort of move is merely a nuisance to consider, ruining a game whose focus is predicting your opponent's thoughts. Such a thing considerably reduces our enjoyment.
Kinzo sighed deeply and finally shifted his gaze away from the board. Chess isn't chess without an opponent. If that opponent is tired and wants to suspend the game, there's no getting around it. True, the goal of chess is for both players to make the best possible moves and aim for victory.
an intellectual game where reading your opponent is key. But Kinzo-san, have you forgotten there's another goal besides victory?
What? What other goal could there... what other goal could there possibly be?
To think that you, of all people, would forget something like that. Chess is a way to pass the time having fun with a friend.
You've got me there. I believe I once said those exact words to you long ago. Yes, you've got me there.
Ginzo, who almost always wore a frown, relaxed his face for once and laughed. Nanjo felt like he'd been reunited with a close friend he hadn't seen in ages. Felt in ages. Freudian slip.
I bet they haven't done that too in ages.
That's how it is. Now that I've managed to take a shot back at you, what do you say? Will you go down with me and have dinner? Why don't we discuss Kasparov's middle game along with some coffee?
An appealing proposition, but I'm afraid I must decline. I can no longer leave this room. After all, the ceremony has already begun.
Is that so? Well, my stomach is growling. I will go downstairs. Anytime you feel like it.
Nanjo, thank you.
Oh, what could you be thanking me for?
We didn't finish our match. However, it seems I have somehow achieved that second goal of chess, which I had forgotten. And it would appear that that goal is no less important than achieving checkmate.
This isn't like you. Why so sentimental?
You said it yourself, did you not? My days in this world are numbered. Now go, and don't come to this room again. Let us continue this match in the Golden Land.
That's fine with me, but we'll have to start over. Losing that rook was a serious blow. Well then, I will see you later.
Yes, later. Maybe in the Golden Land, or in Purgatory, or possibly in the next world.
Cool, anyway, I'm gonna leave now.
Nanjo didn't say anything beyond that. And with a motion made smooth by familiarity, he pushed the button on the table that would release the auto lock. Then, after looking at Kenzo's back one last time, he left the study. As he did, Genji's voice came from the hall. If you are ready, master, I will now carry in your dinner.
It may be my final dinner. I must savor it. Please prepare it.
As you wish. And are your preparations complete as well, master?
Indeed. In the time leading up to this day, this room has been carefully wrapped in a multitude of barriers. Even if her roulette chooses me, I will definitely repel it. I will remain alive, and will surely become one of those who reach the Golden Land.
Yeah, it worked very well for you last time, huh?
I shall repulse the visit of the Reapers trying to drag me off to the land of the dead. Excuse me. I have come to serve your meal.
Shannon entered the VIP room, bowing her head and pushing the serving cart. The young woman by the window, gazing out into the supposedly empty darkness, was definitely the witch.
So, it is Shannon this time. How long it's been. Your face isn't nearly as pale as it once was. I can see you're no canon. I hardly recognize you.
Hardly recognize these fists, bitch. Just start throwing hands like, oh!
Thank you very much.
Shannon solemnly prepared dinner. There was actually several things she wanted to ask the witch, but they were all jumbled up, and she didn't know where to start.
Her heart was also jumped up, and she didn't even understand her own emotions. So she could only do her job passionately, with everything still vague. However, the witch saw what was in her heart. You can't hide anything from a witch.
I won't apologize. I'm a witch after all. Apologize for what? Come now. Canon must have told you about it. I only rescued your love life because of my mischievous spirit. It was nothing more than a seed I sowed so I could watch your love grow complicated, become twisted, and fall. Was that... Did she say fall or fail?
She said fail.
Whatever. I imagine some people think it's more fun to hear about love than to have it.
Oh, shit!
You couldn't possibly be trying to thank me, right? I am. So, no matter what kind of ulterior motive you had when you gave me the magic of love, it doesn't change the fact that I received it from you. So even if you sowed that seed knowing the two of us wouldn't be able to stay together for life, I won't hold a grudge against you. It seems furniture is dull after all. This is where I show my skill by cooking it into something interesting. I don't understand what you're thinking, Beatrice. You are a great witch, and people like us don't even reach your feet. Nor can we even imagine your grand thoughts. But there is at least one thing I can say. What is it? Thank you for teaching me to be human. You said it yourself. I'm no longer furniture. Be silent, furniture. If you are a true human, hearing the announcement of your death on the day that you were to receive an engagement ring should have you dancing around, mad with grief.
I forgot this is how she reacted. Shannon might have a fucking her finger on the pulse of the tilting strategy too, actually, now that I think about it.
What are you doing? Your face looks so enlightened, as though you've accepted everything. Truly an anti-climax. Furniture. No, I'm not furniture. Be silent, furniture. I won't be silent, because I'm not furniture. Are you saying you won't obey my order?
Look at her just getting annoyed at the slightest pushback.
Furniture obeys orders, but a human decides for herself whether to obey orders or not. So I won't obey your orders. I take back what I said. You really are interesting. If I hadn't sowed those seeds, you probably would have allowed the ceremony to control your fate without clinging to any emotions. But now you've grown to be something truly interesting. Something that will entertain me to no end. That is well, for I'm not fond of boredom. Dinner's ready. Here you go.
Just spits in it. Looks her directly in the eye and just spits in her food.
Doesn't this look delicious? If Goda makes it to the Golden Land.
Sorry about that.
Perhaps I shall commission him as my chief cook. I heard that from Canon-kun. Something about how, if I rejected George Sand's proposal, you promised not to make me a sacrifice. Indeed, I said as much. You would make an ideal potential sacrifice for the second Twilight, but because Canon cried and screamed, asking that I spare you, I graciously listened to his words. With the condition that you abandon your engagement, of course. See how gracious I am? What a foolish offer. And what a foolish threat. So you used that to thoroughly bully Kanam-kun, did you? Huh. So you comprehend?
Apparently, Canon had seen through it. She apparently guessed at how the witch had bullied and humiliated Canon, with that horrible promise as bait.
I made him crawl on the carpet and kiss my shoes.
Just Balor and Beatrice, like in the tea room, fade in. Balor's like, "You have like a foot fetish or something?" Like, goddamn. That's it. That's all the little thing is.
And that's not all. Do you want to hear the other ways in which I humiliated him?
Canon silently shook her head.
I've finally come to understand you. You like to bully, confuse, and trouble people. You do it to entertain yourself. So now I know for sure the one single way I can resist you. And what might that be? I don't care about you. I'll carry out the fate that has been given to me. That's all. I won't entertain you. I don't care about you?
Shit, that shocked her so much she got that extra U that's not in bold. The witch's features twisted in hatred for just an instant. I think I know a way to piss her off even more. Just, I pity you. You just change it into you. I pity you, and I think she would actually try to kill you right then and there. The witch's features twisted in hatred for just an instant. It disappeared immediately. But the expression that briefly rose to her face was rare for the witch, whose malice smile usually never faded for a second.
I see, so you might resist me in that way. Amusing. They're truly entertaining. I'll kill you. You and your lover both. If that's the fate you've decided upon, do as you will. I won't be afraid, and I won't stand against you. After all, I don't believe the cruel fate that's coming is something controlled by your will. We humans know nothing about fates that might come to pass in the future. That's why I live to the fullest until the last instant, following my convictions and the fate set before me. Fate is just a roll of the dice. There's no malice in it. Even if you claim there is, I won't believe it. So even though you've quit being furniture, you have no fear of death. It seems you believe this will bore me, but you couldn't be more wrong. The thought of seeing whether you can hold on to that view until the last moment merely seems to intrigue me more and more. I can't stand this. Why did you take the form of a human, appear in front of us, speak with human words, and ridicule us? If you hadn't appeared in front of us, if you hadn't predicted the future, we would have been able to live life to the fullest until the last moment. That's what witches do. I live off your fates. Reigning as a high-order being does over low-order beings. Your fates are nothing more than fragments. If I cut my hands together, I could scoop out as many of those as I want. Just like no matter how the beef cows I've raised might babble, it doesn't change the fact that I'll be having them for dinner. We are powerless, so we cannot fight against your ceremony or fate. But I can make you unhappy right now. And how are you planning to accomplish this? By walking away from this place right now. No matter how I respond to your words, it will only amuse you. Refusing to respond to your questions is my only method of resisting you. I see, I see. You might be able to take a shot at me, but you cannot defeat me, yes? I have the power to kill anyone for eternity. I cannot wait to see whether you can keep up that resistance in an endlessly repeating cycle of death and rebirth. Don't you forget it, okay? You spoke those words yourself. Well then, if you will excuse me, if you need anything, please call me.
Shannon gave a reserved bow and faced away. With that gesture, maybe she really did take a shot back at the witch, just as Beatrice had said. Because when the witch called out again, she sounded a little more quick-tempered than she had before.
Cannot thank me, can't you? Can't you thank me for bringing you your day of rest? Furniture may be happy when their day of rest comes, but I am a human, so I have nothing to thank you for. Is that all you have to say? You plan to accept George's ring, yes? Don't forget that if you do, I will abandon the promise I made with Canon. The promise that you would not be selected as a sacrifice. If you need anything else, I'll have someone else come.
Sorry about that.
If you will excuse me.
A flat-out interruption. And still hadn't answered her. And the sound of the door closing came instead of an answer. Shannon's resistance probably struck far more deeply into the witch than Shannon herself thought. Because an expression of hatred once again rose to Beatrice's face. She made Cannon submit, even though he hadn't been ensnared until the end. Whereas Cannon, who had been so easily ensnared before, refused to submit this time.
I see. So the state of affairs is amusing. Perhaps I really am still young. This is why I haven't tired of life after 1,000 years.
Alright. That is where we're gonna end it.
Yeah.
Oh god, beans. There we go. For the love of God, let me go, let me save! Alright, system. Save. But I'm telling you, I think the tilting strategy with her would work. You saw how much it affected her when Shannon just kinda talks back.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have one conversation with Beatrice. I'm coming out dead because I annoyed her so much. And you know what? That's still a victory in my book.
Is it really?
For me, it is.
Why is that?
The Great Witch Beatrice lost her temper at a lowly human.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, that'd be great. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us for Umineko, and I hope you'll join us next time. Goodbye.
Bye.